Hey friends, we are back in the garden shed for another Vego garden bed video. Now in the first video, which I'll link for you, I mentioned that I had 2 garden beds, one of which I was going to place in front of our chickens for their chicken garden. But I couldn't do it because there's a huge stump in front that was not possible to move on my own. So let me show you a few clips of the progress on that and you'll see what I mean. So while we watched Tom cut the stump, let me tell you the story behind this. Our neighbor had a tree cut down and Tom decided that he had to have this huge stump. So he had the men bring it over with their big machine and it's been sitting in our yard ever since for me to mow around. So finally, it has to go.
Workers are smiling at you. They're like, yeah, sure, you can have it. You know that there's a catch. You know it. You know.
This is
My
what they
neighbor
call.
has a wedge at home.
Oh.
Mine is in West Virginia, yes.
This is what they call a functional workout.
It's definitely so functional, huh? It's unnecessary actually for this car.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah.
Just
well,
reminding
listen,
you.
look at all these good sawdust the chickens got here.
Mm-hmm.
I made that for you.
Yeah, that's why we got.
Actually the whole reason.
That's why we
I
got
bought
these
chickens.
stumps, right?
And that's also, I mean, the chainsaw's so little that I'm gonna buy a new one.
Great. How's that working out for you? Are you having a great time?
Huh?
Are you having a great time?
Yes.
Are you happy you put this in our yard?
Yes. I can barely wait for the opportunity to grab a bigger one next time.
Definitely.
Yeah. It should be as big as that.
Because now I have a skid loader so I can move them.
Oh, but that's not here. Remember that.
The skid loaders down in West Virginia.
Yep,
Yes.
good point.
I'm definitely never going to get one of these Jimmys in here ever. It's 100% guaranteed.
Lesson learned. Take 563. Bob is helping. Good job,
I
Bob.
only have one wedge, guys.
Do you want to move the bench?
I could, right?
You could move the bench and maybe it would stand less awkwardly. Don't break the door. Ooh, look at that. There's some wiggle in
So
there.
movie, but it just don't want to move. Come on, Jimmy. Doesn't want justice. I'm gonna end up buying a big chainsaw just to circumvent this ever happening.
Was that your whole plan all along?
No, but it's
This is how you can justify getting the big chainsaw that you always wanted.
Yes.
Right, to be continued. Guess who made the final cut? Who's our hero? Jimmy, our neighbor.
The old man.
Whose name isn't really Jimmy. Look how interesting. interested they are. Hey, chippies. Did you enjoy the show? I can't see you through the screen. Okay, so now you see that the stump is moved to another location in my yard. It's just like the never-ending stump, but eventually it will disappear. Fingers crossed. I really had trouble crossing my fingers. I'm right-handed, but it's harder to cross my right fingers than my left. Weird fact about me. So anywho, we are moving on to planting the chicken garden. So I have that in place already, and I'm going to show you just a few clips of putting that together. Just going to pop my head in here awkwardly and say that I prepped this bed the same way that I did the first one. So check that video to see how I did that. Now this dirt is really just dirt. So since I don't have any compost ready right now, I am going to, one, remove this big rock, and two, I'm going to top it with some garden soil that I bought from Home Depot, and it should be a little more, less dirt. So what I meant by less dirt, because that made absolutely no sense, is that the garden soil that I purchased has good stuff in it that will help the plants grow. What I put to fill the bed under this beautiful dirt was just dug up from our driveway. So it probably doesn't have a lot of nutrients left in it, not any moisture at all. So this should help the plants along. And then the dirt underneath, as I add compost over the years and water with worm tea and things, will get healthier. And these are sunflowers that she planted at the end of school, and we are now planting them in the chicken garden bed.
There we go. This is real hard.
I could have.
Okay, so the next step for this chicken coop slash garden shed is to redo the patio in front. I've never done that, and I'm probably not going to do it the most proper way. So if you really want an expert, you'll have to consult another YouTube video. I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do it. You can either follow that or learn from my mistakes, either way. So we'll see. So I have all of the leftover brick from another project that we pulled up. I'm going to reuse that, and then there's also a few other projects going on around the house, and might give you some peeks of those as well. This is the other reason this needs to be fixed, because when you step on this board to open the door, it pops up and gets stuck and hits you in the head. I'm not saying I've ever done that, but you know, that could happen. So that was actually a lot easier than I thought, because I just dragged it out. Now we can pick the whole thing up and throw it in the truck. Easy. Because the dirt was already packed down where the existing patio was, I just placed these pavers right on top of that. Actually, there's weed barrier under that as well, but it was really easy and done way quicker than I thought.
I could have. I could have. I could have.
So the next project we have going on in the yard is one I've been waiting to do for years. So we used to run a construction company called Paley Construction, and we never had a location for that. We always kept materials, trash here at the house. So we needed a place to put that. So Tom built a shed on the side of the house. It really wasn't the prettiest, but wasn't the most awful at the time. And it, was functional. We needed it, so that was that. However, now that we haven't had the construction company a while, the shed is still there. It still is full of materials and junk. We need to clean it out. And we're kind of forced to do it now because it's rotting, and I've kind of really grown tired of it being on the side of the house because it's not the most attractive thing. And I don't even remember what the side of my house looks like. There's a sidewalk next to it I completely forgot about. Anywho, I'm excited to tear that down, and we're going to take all of that material to West Virginia and use that in the cabin build, hopefully. So we're going to clean that up, and I'll show you the before and after of that, and I'm going to be super happy to have the side of my house back. It's just the little things, right? Starting to come down, and definitely needed to be done because it's rotting away, and bees live in here.
Good footers in here.
Don't get a hernia.
Come here.
A hernia?
I gotta just saw it up. And we're gonna put it right on the trailer.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am. Ah! That feels good.
Look, it's a window. Now I need a home for all of this junk. Alright, so I'm back again. I wanted to mention my worm composting system because I've mentioned the worm tea and showed you the worm tea in the first video. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown of the setup process of that, which product I use, and the progress so far. I will say that with a family of 5, it does not keep up with our kitchen scraps. I also cook pretty much every day. Maybe if you have a smaller family, don't cook every day, you'd be fine with just one worm composting bin. So I might get another one in the future. And I also have my chickens who are also great at taking care of kitchen scraps. That does help. And then I do have a composting bin in the yard, but I mostly put like weeds and the chicken poo in there. But anyway, the worm composting is fun, and so I'm going to show you a little bit of that process. We are in another not super pretty part of my house, which is the garage, and it's kind of more like the recycling center collection area. However, this is where I store garlic for one, and this is also where I keep my worm composter. So I'm going to turn the camera around and give you the ins and outs of my worm composting system. I do really like it. I've done some things wrong, and I'm going to share that with you. So one sec. This is the Worm Factory composting bin. You can see that I've labeled each tray for when I started it, just to give me an idea of when it's ready, but obviously that can just change depending on what you've put in it, how fast the worms eat. The bottom here is where the worm tea comes out. It looks pretty nasty, but it doesn't have too much of an aroma really. And you can just, it just drips, perfect timing. And I will mix that with water and just water my flowers with it. So let me open this guy up and show you what's inside and show you what I have done wrong. This is the tray directly under the one I just showed you, and it is decomposing a lot. However, there are too many bugs in it, which it shouldn't have, but you can see that there are worms in it. So again, I just want to say, if I had followed the directions from the Worm Factory and not overfed the worms, it wouldn't look this way. Now I just stirred it up a little bit for you so you can see under that newspaper layer the activity in there. See, there are some wormies doing their job. And let me show you the trays underneath real quick. So this one is looking good. I started this one on June 3rd. It is currently August 3rd, I believe. A couple months in. There's not much big food left. You can see the egg scraps and things. Now, there are not a lot of worms in here. There are some because they are migrating up to that top tray above it, which is good because then that yuck will start going away. But I think it's looking pretty good, and then I'm gonna switch over to the bottom tray that I started May 25th. So that should be almost ready. This one actually looks gorgeous, and if you are really into composting, you understand what I mean. So this tray was as full as that first bin that I showed you. So it's been at it for almost 3 months. The worms have been working hard, and there are still some worms in here, which means there's still food for them to eat. But let me give you the close-up, okay? Look at that nice rich brown soil. Still a few eggshells and some pistachios in there. Only a few worms, which means they have migrated up. But that just looks so, oh, let me get it in focus for you. So good. And can you believe that looked like this tray before? Actually, the first one, which is underneath. I think that's pretty impressive. So that's been about 3 months. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer, and then I will be able to use it in the garden. I was trying to show you a worm close up, but they're trying to get away. I do absolutely recommend the Worm Factory if you want to try worm composting. It's also a lot of fun for kids if you have kids. Just a neat process to see. So the only thing I would say is definitely follow the directions. Don't overfeed your worms, and you won't have the bug problems and smell. And they're really actually, even though I have done it improperly, there's not a lot of smell, which is good. And you get the worm tea too, which is awesome to just add some nutrients back into your soil for flowers, vegetables, whatever. So if you've been looking at the Worm Factory, you can buy it on Amazon. Go ahead and get it. There are prettier worm composters out there. I bought this one because we have the family of 5 and I needed something bigger. So if you have not as much scraps as us, I guess you could get one of the smaller ones, but this one works really well. So thanks for watching my worm journey.